listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. The Private Officer Beat radio show is about to begin. Hey everyone, you're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. Good morning everyone, and welcome to the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC. We're broadcasting live today from the Blue Ram Media Studio. Yes, it's a real thing, real place. And we're happy to have this facility, and we're producing a number of programs out of this studio, and we have a lot more coming up. Today, of course, is Monday, the first day back to work for many people, the 8th day of July, 2024. Of course, many people, unfortunately, had to work during the July 4th holiday. I hope that you didn't, but if you did, hopefully you got some time to spend at home with the family, with some friends, maybe barbecued, went to the beach, or, just relax. It's very important, of course, to take a little time just to get away from work. And I can tell you, I wear a lot of different hats. I've got a lot of different things going on. In fact, we're going to tell you about some of those things today. In the program, we have a lot of news, some happenings going on, things that are going on in the security industry that many people don't know, not aware, and some, they just don't care. We also want to talk about the upcoming Memorial Week, and I really want to bring that out to you a little bit early. And we'll talk about that after the first break. Remember, you can read our breaking news at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com anytime, day or night. It's there, fresh. You can also send us news that's happening in your area at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. And you can get involved. You can get involved with being one of our news hounds. And, hey, we'll contribute. We'll contribute to you in doing that. You can get involved in all of the other things we have, the committees, and contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com because it's important that people get involved. And while I'm talking about the news, don't forget that our newsletters are no longer free, but they are just $29 a year. Support us, support our team, support our efforts. Go to privateofficer.org today and sign up for those newsletters, just $29 a year. I mean, come on. I think just about anybody can afford those these days. When I come back, I'm going to also tell you about, talking about money, I'm going to tell you about an ad that I just saw for security officers and how much companies are willing to pay these days. And I think that some of you are already experiencing the benefits of the situation, because I know a number of security officers who are being paid in excess of $25 an hour. I know a couple of security company owners who are paying their people big money, much more than just 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So as far as pay, things are on the upswing for security personnel and anyone working in the security field. I know for myself, being a business owner, that it's not gonna change. It's not gonna go backwards. We're only going to see the prices of things increase, and that includes prices of services. One of my security competitors nearby, they offer alarm response, just like my security companies, and they charge $60 to go to respond to an activation of an alarm, and if they have to wait any time at all, they charge another $60 per hour. So good business. They haven't really told me or went into detail how many calls they respond to. I've heard through the grapevine that they're averaging at least 1 or 2 an hour. Can you imagine that? Let's say it's 2 an hour. That's 48. Let's say 50 calls a day at $60. That's $3,000 a day. $3,000 times 7 days in a week. That's $21,000 a week. Over $80,000, about $1 million business just in answering alarms. Security is definitely a big, big business. When I come back from this first break, I want to talk about how companies are arming security in the fastest pace that I've seen since 9/11. When 9/11 happened, we saw the same uptick in arming security staff, and really without a whole lot more training, and now we're seeing it even more so with the lack of law enforcement. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector here on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
If you're not already receiving breaking news and our bi-weekly newsletter, Officer Down reports, and discount training news in your personal or business email, then go to our website right now at privateofficer.org. Privateofficer.org. A Dropbox will come down. Just fill out your info, and you'll be the first, one of the first, for sure, to know about what's happening in the security industry. You'll know when a security officer is killed. You'll also get these great discounts on training and equipment, and so much more. privateofficer.org. And if you're not already a member of the Private Officer International Association, sign up while you're there today. Become a lifetime member for just $99, and we'll also include a free Private Officer International patch and lapel pin.
Are you looking for the finest private security officer training in the Charlotte metropolitan area? Do you need PPS qualifications in armed or unarmed training? Or maybe you're over there across the line in South Carolina and you need the SLED training. Well, we've got the right training at the right time for you. Premier Training Academy, located at 5624 Executive Center Drive, Suite 142 in metropolitan Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today, 704-806-4933. They also offer firearms training, personal protection, first aid and CPR, and so much more. Call John at 704-806-4933. There is a definite uptick in arming security officers across the country. In some states, they've been doing this increasingly for quite a number of years. But now, across the country, in small areas and metropolitan areas, in conservative states and not so conservative states, we're seeing more and more companies arming security. Just this past week, 2 hospitals and a private college went from unarmed security, where they didn't even carry tasers, to arming them with both less lethal and lethal firearms. This is definitely a trend that continues to increase, and there's a lot of reasoning behind this. Obviously, with fewer and fewer law enforcement to respond to calls, an uptick in violent crimes, despite what one segment of our nation wants you to believe. They say there's really not been an uptick of violent crimes. I guess they don't watch the videos and the news. And many companies now realize that if they are to protect their people, their staff, their customers, their clients, their assets, their property, then it's up to them. They can no longer depend on law enforcement, the county police, the county sheriff's office, local police, to be there. And I'm going to say something that, some people may not agree, but it's always been that way. Unfortunately, we have just demanded so much of law enforcement over the years. We've expected them to be on every street corner, prevent every murder, be there before the robbery goes down, and babysit everyone and their brother. But that's not what law enforcement is, nor has it ever been, and that's not what they were designed for. Police, peace officers, law enforcement. The word law enforcement means they enforce the laws. Unfortunately, now, many companies are realizing that the police are not their security guards. Many are saying that, when they call for police, there's a good chance they may or may not show up, and if they do, it might be hours and hours away. Just recently in Oakland, California, a convenience store had to find that out the hard way. Again, a large number of people came into the store and began vandalizing, stealing, and just wreaking havoc everywhere, destroying property, and they called police over and over again. And the Oakland Police Department did not arrive for more than 9 hours. Oakland is in the San Francisco Bay Area, unless I have my geographics wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. But Oakland is a mid-sized city. It's not L.A., it's not New York, it's not Detroit, it's not even Atlanta. But they have massive problems, and they have a lack of law enforcement staffing. Picture yourself, if you will, being the owner, the manager, the employee of the convenience store that's under attack for 9 hours before the police get there. Now switch gears and picture you as the security officer, armed or unarmed, having to confront these people. I know folks in the retail security business who have been in these shoes for many years, but definitely in the last 5-6 years. Things are not getting any better, and therefore many companies, hospitals especially, and private schools who do not have their own campus police departments are arming their security staff. They're training them to the minimal requirements, but nonetheless, they're putting a firearm in their hand. I've said 1,001 times on the radio program and in all of the interviews I do with media that I believe in armed security. You can't defend others if you can't protect yourself. However, I also believe in a standard of training for whether you're unarmed or armed, and we're still lacking that. Regardless of what people will say about, well, this is just security, we don't need to put them through a police academy, they don't need all of this and that. Yes, they do. Security is involved in every aspect of law enforcement, responding to emergencies, confrontations, and when I come back from this next break, I'll tell you about one of those situations that unfortunately left one man dead, and a security officer dead, and another one paralyzed. So we do need that training. But getting over here back to the subject of arming security, we are going to continue seeing this happening nationwide, and it's not a trend that's down the road. It's a trend today. It's happening. It's been happening. And if you're a security company owner, manager, supervisor, what type of training are you offering your staff? Not only do you need them to be ready to defend themselves and others, but you also need them to understand when they can defend themselves and others with a firearm or any less lethal tool. I have been a instructor in law enforcement and security for many years, and I've always taught shoot, don't shoot, use of force situations, scenario driven, and that's the best type of training that you can have. When I come back from this break, we're going to talk about how some people unfortunately lost their lives and were injured, and every year this just continues to increase, both with law enforcement and security. We'll be right back on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
Think about everything that you save. You save gas, you save money, you save time. But have you ever thought about saving life? That's right, life. In just 1 hour, you could save up to 3 lives, giving 3 people more time with the ones they love. And isn't that the best thing to save? The need for blood is as universal as it is constant. Save life, give blood.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
St. Joseph's Health upping its security, hiring armed guards for the hospital. It's looking for retired police officers to fill its armed security positions with an emphasis on de-escalation skills. Security enhancements also include providing non-lethal tools like pepper gel and handcuffs to the hospital's existing unarmed guards. We're told the decision comes following months of research, a statement released to us saying in part, we want our hospital to be a transforming, healing presence within our community. It is our responsibility to create a workplace environment in which our colleagues feel safe and are able to care for patients without the threat of violence.
Marcus Johnson, a 31-year-old security officer, and a second security officer who was 24 years old, both from California, unfortunately, and it really disturbs me that these type of injuries and deaths continue. Marcus was going to college. He was married. He was working as a security officer in California when he was gunned down this past week. Another 24-year-old security officer was working at a nightclub. A fight broke out and he tried to break it up. San Diego police say the 24-year-old security officer was pulled to the ground by one of the combatants, and when he did that, the security officer hit his head and was seriously injured. He was taken to a San Diego hospital where he had a fractured vertebrae and other injuries. And now the security officer has been left paralyzed from the waist down. The suspect fled, and police are still looking for him. The security officer on video can be seen trying to pull two men apart who were wrestling, fighting, and creating a disturbance, a problem at a nightclub. The suspect, who was in his 20s, 6'4" to 6'5", outweighed the man, the security officer, by quite a bit. He is wanted. There's a $1,000 reward. We're going to increase that, by the way. And if you have any information, the San Diego Police Department's detectives want you to call 619-744-9512. This is a scenario, a situation that is reoccurring every day. It plays out someplace across the country every single day. It does not get this type of attention. In fact, the only reason why we probably were alerted to it through our news contacts was that the security officer was left paralyzed, unfortunately, and now police have a manhunt for him, and there's a reward. But every day across the country, these situations happen. They don't make the headline news. They don't even make the local news most of the time. Shootings of security officers and by security officers continue to increase. This is a subject that we preach about day after day, whether I'm talking to a reporter or online on one of my radio shows, or just when I'm doing classes. I often cover this subject because it's not going to stop, and I have predicted for many years it will only increase. And unfortunately, there's really no 100% way to stop it. We can double up our manpower on every account, which is almost unfeasible. We can do better training. That will help. But unfortunately, there is no for sure way to stop people from being injured in the line of duty, no more than there is to stop police officers from being injured or killed in the line of duty. Switching gears very quickly, we really need your support and your help. We have a number of people who donate from time to time. Right now, staffing, we've had a decreased staffing. I've mentioned this in a couple of my radio shows. We really need you, our members, our listeners, and supporters to donate. Go to privateofficer.org. Click on the Officer Down link, and there is a way for you to donate. You can even support us monthly, like some folks do. We really need your financial support to be able to stay in business. When I come back, I want to talk about how cameras and drones are helping to support the security industry. We've talked about this now for more than a year. And I'm also going to talk about the upcoming Memorial Week and a number of other things. Today's topic, by the way, is marijuana. It's a sore spot with many people because they use it. They like it. And unfortunately, with more states legalizing the consumption of marijuana, it's causing a problem in the security and law enforcement industry. It's causing a problem with workers' compensation insurance. I'll tell you more about that. I know you're not going to like the subject. I know you're not going to like what I've got to say, but the truth is the truth. You're listening to the Frontline Protector on the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media, LLC. Hey everyone, you're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. We'll be right back.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove. You told me not to do drugs. You told me not to drink and drive. You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Human trafficking is slavery.
And it happens all over America.
Any child, any woman, any man could potentially become a victim of human trafficking.
I am a victim of labor trafficking.
I was victim of child sex trafficking, but now I own my body.
Human trafficking is any kind of forced labor.
It can happen to anybody.
I am a mother.
I am an author.
I am a son.
I'm an advocate.
I am an educator.
I'm a sister.
I am a brother.
I'm so much more than what happened to me.
I am strong.
I am brave.
I am outspoken.
I am compassionate.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor of human trafficking.
Wages for private security officers across the country have been going up since around COVID, when more and more companies were hiring private security to police the wearing of the mask and the COVID regulations and all of that. And to entice security people to go to work, many contract security companies had to raise their hourly rates. And while that was a good thing, now across the country, and really globally in many countries, the wages for private security have gone up substantially. And I don't believe that it will change. Just like with the price of food and gasoline and other things, they just keep going up and up. And it doesn't matter if you clean bathrooms for a living, or you're a security technician, or a police officer, or anything in the construction field, wages have been going up for a number of years. Now, private security, once and for all, in some areas are being paid what they're worth. I've long told you that in places like Washington, D.C., and even in Houston and New York City and places like that, wages have gone up far more faster than in other parts of our country. Of course, there's still going to be places where an entry-level security officer is making barely minimum wage, but there are plenty of others where security officers make $18, $20, $25, and in some areas $30 plus. Just saw an ad offering $31.90 for a security officer. You're talking about $65,000, close to $65,000 a year for an entry-level security officer, and that came with benefits. I've been telling you for at least a year, maybe more, that many companies, whether it be contract security or in-house hospitals, colleges, and businesses that have proprietary security, are, unfortunately for them, I guess, but fortunately for security, are also beginning to offer sign-on bonuses, $2,500, $3,500. In some cases, I've seen $5,000, $7,500. Just like with other types of professions, law enforcement has been recruiting this way for a number of years, and I can tell you that's going to continue as long as the labor pool continues to shy away from law enforcement positions, security, military, or anything that has to do with authority. So for the security professional, the security person, the individual, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And maybe not so much for the client, the consumer of the service, because that means we have to charge them more. And we get a lot of pushback. Security companies get pushback on the contract, or even when we're sending a proposal. They're like, what? Why? I've never had to pay that before. Well, that was before, and this is now. So things change. And so security officers, supervisors, managers, you're in the prime season. You're right where you should be if you want to, make a living in this field and make a decent wage. So I don't think it's going to stop. Send us an email, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Let us know how the wages are in your area. Every year for more than 20 years now, we have had a Memorial Week every year. And prior to COVID, it was extremely successful. We traveled across the country. We delivered the message. We talked about the high propensity for assaults, for murders of private security, both in proprietary and contract, and the reasons for it and how it will continue to rise, and it has been. Unlike with law enforcement, many of their deaths are sustained in non-assault type related incidents, such as traffic fatalities, training fatalities, physical conditioning. They have heart attacks. The majority of security officers die in the line of duty from gunfire, aggravated assault, stabbings, directly related to being attacked. As we have brought this memorial service, which is the third week of September every year across the country, we have gained a lot of publicity and a lot of attention from not only the media and the public, but law enforcement, politicians, and others who didn't realize the severity of injuries and deaths in the security field. Thanks to Mike Thornhill and a number of other chapter members and POI members in cities across the country, for a number of years we had very successful memorial services. We had politicians, we had lieutenant governors, we had state and U.S. senators, and other politicians attend these memorial services. It's got a lot of focus, a lot of attention. We were in the media in numerous cities and states across the country. Unfortunately, and that, by the way, did a lot of good for the security business. It really let people know how dangerous it was, and they were, thanking security officers. And I've had security company owners tell me that their clients even commented that they were not aware of how severe and serious it was. Unfortunately, with COVID came the lapse of many of the activities that Private Officer International was able to do. That's all behind us. Everything is gone. Everything is good, and now we're back on track. And this year, I really want to do something very, very special. I've mentioned this for quite some time, but I don't really like doing the memorial service. I wish we didn't have to. I don't like it because of what it is. It's not that I don't like to travel. I don't mind speaking at these, engagements, these memorial services, but it is the fact that it would be better if we didn't have to have them, because there would be no officer deaths. Same thing with when a police officer is killed in the line of duty. I've gone to many of those, and it's a sad, sad day. I can tell you. I've cried at many of them. But this year I want to do something very special. So I'm looking for you to get involved. Please contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Let us know if you would like to get involved. Maybe you can't sponsor it. Maybe you can't donate, but you want to get involved. You want to have one in your area. What does it take to sponsor? Well, we need, obviously, financial support as we're traveling across the country. We're going to have substantial expenses, lodging, gas, especially food, and so forth. We're not paying anybody involved. Everyone, including myself, is doing this and has done this for free for 20 years. We really now, more than ever, need your financial support. If you would like to be recognized for your support, we're going to be renting a vehicle for that week or 2 weeks as we do it. We're going to need you to maybe rent the vehicle for us, maybe rent it for part of the trip, and we'll put a placard, a magnetic placard on the vehicle. This vehicle sponsored by XYZ company. If you want to put, donate, we'll put an ad for you free on our websites. We'll get your name in the media because we always send out press releases every year, and it gets a lot of media focus. It goes to the Associated Press, all of the main headliner news media organizations, and local media in all of the locations where we're holding a memorial service. All that you need to hold one in your community is a space. It could be an office, it could be an event center, a hotel room. Hotels work very good. Or it could be a school. We've done that in gymnasiums. Or even a church. We've done that in churches a few times. Something that's going to hold between 25 and 50 people. We probably aren't going to be expecting 1,000 or 20,000. I wish that were the case, but it's not. But usually 25 to 50 people, and help us to get the word out about the upcoming memorial in your area, as well as inviting dignitaries, politicians, police and fire officials, and so on and so forth. Contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We need to get this going no later than the end of this month so we can organize our schedule and know where we're going in September. We'll also continue through the month of October if we have enough locations and sponsorships. Helpdesk@privateofficer.com.
There was the explosion, and I remember just opening my eyes, and it got both of my legs. I had surgery after surgery, and what's going to happen next? The Wounded Warrior Project said, look, brother, everything's going to be okay. 3 months from now, 4 months from now, a year from now, you'll be fine. I don't know if I would be as well adjusted as I am now if it wasn't for them.
To learn more, call 1-877-832-6997 or visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
We have several items that we'd like to bring to you this morning on the program and the news. Remember, you can read our news at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com, and you can also report news to helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Coming out of San Diego, a security officer was left paralyzed after an attack and assault that occurred on June the 16th. This happened at a nightclub. According to law enforcement, the 24-year-old security officer was trying to break up a fight when a large man that was involved took him down to the ground, smashing him against the curb. It left him with fractured vertebrae and also left him paralyzed from the waist down. 2 people have been arrested for or injured after another fight with a security officer at another club. This one happened in Tampa. Police responded. Ryan Moss, 26, and Calvin Durain, 27, were both arrested. This was after a shooting. Police said the incident began first with a verbal and then a physical altercation that led to the shooting. A 25-year-old security officer was also involved. The security officer returned fire, and he also was injured. A Nashville security guard was arrested after firing shots into a 7-Eleven, or shots at a 7-Eleven. Stephen Nelson, 39, is charged with first-degree reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. Officers were dispatched to the 7-Eleven at 2200 Brick Church Pike for a fight involving Nelson, the security guard, who serves as an armed security guard for that store. Nelson was eventually punched in the face, and that's when he fired shots. Police say they believe he was reckless and then took him into custody. A suspect has been charged with shooting a security officer 4 times in Cleveland, Ohio. Police investigated the shooting. Now, Maurice Stearns, 30, faces 2 counts of felonious assault. He has since posted a $75,000 bond and is expected in court this week. A Six Flags employee assaulted a security officer in Eureka, Missouri. Police responded to the assault. They arrested 26-year-old man and charged him with misdemeanor assault. The officer saw cuts and bruises on the security officer he received treatment. No other information was provided. In San Jose, California, delivery drivers from Amazon and other companies say things have gotten so dangerous for them that they've hired private security now to escort them to some of those areas. Armed security officers is escorting delivery trucks, grocery deliveries, and several other vendors because of the violence. A Nashville teen has been arrested in the shooting of a security officer. The 18-year-old was taken into custody last week after firing numerous shots at a parking garage security officer near the downtown area. 18-year-old Maurice Johnson is in custody. He's charged with several felonies, and he's being held on a $100,000 bond. A Milwaukee man died during a struggle with hotel security at the Hyatt Regency. This happened on June the 30th. The man was involved in some type of disturbance or altercation. When security got involved, they had to struggle with him to detain him. During that struggle, he was taken to the hospital and later died. Police are investigating. No charges have been brought against the security as of yet. More businesses are reportedly hiring private security in Maryland. A new news article says that retail, properties, apartments, and business in general are hiring private security as theft and violent crimes continue to increase. Maryland has more than 26,000 private security officers that are licensed, and they also have private special police officers that have law enforcement authority on private property. 2 Doral, Florida police officers have sued a Martini bar, a security company, after a fatal shooting. The 2 officers who were working off duty April the 6th say that a 37-year-old Jamel Wayne Wood into the bar with a gun and began shooting. Door security neglected to pat him down correctly. The shooting ended with the death of George Castellanos, who was a security officer. The 2 police officers are suing because they say if the security guard had done his job at the door, the man would never have been allowed inside with the gun. There's no date for the court trial. Prince George, Maryland police are investigating after an armored truck robbery. This occurred on Monday last week in the 5200 block of Indian Head Highway. Police were called to the robbery scene. Robbers were able to get away. Police have very little information. They want you to call 1-866-411-TIPS if you have any information. Sad news coming out of Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. An on-duty Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer committed suicide last week. Police responded looking for him and found him in the Steel Creek area. Police identified the officer. Police chief said that Officer Brent Simpson had been recently assigned to the K-9 unit with partner Levi for 6 years. This is an ongoing investigation, but at this time they do believe it was self-inflicted. An Alabama prison security guard was arrested on ethics charges in St. Clair County at the St. Clair Correctional Facility. The private security guard, Jasmine Miller, was arrested. The 34-year-old woman faces a charge of use of office for personal gain, according to the Alabama Department of Corrections. However, they did not elaborate on exactly what happened. She has since been released on a $2,500 bond. A security guard in Penn Hills, Pennsylvania was arrested this past week. 42-year-old security guard was charged in a shooting that left 2 people dead and 7 injured. In the news release, the Allegheny County Police said Chaz Jackson of Pittsburgh has been charged with homicide, aggravated assault, and recklessly endangering another. Police said 28-year-old Stephanie Stewart was killed and several others were injured. In Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Regional Transit Commission has begun deploying an additional 300 armed security officers across the valley. The RTC, Regional Transportation Commission, has had unarmed security for quite some time, but now they've hired a new company to provide armed security and to be able to police their railroad, their transit property. They say that the officers will also carry less than lethal. A woman is accused of spitting on a security officer and biting him in Milford, Connecticut at a restaurant. A disturbance broke out on June the 28th when she punched the security officer and then bit him. When the officer attempted to put her into handcuffs, she then spit on the officer. Police were called and were able to subdue the woman, who was taken into custody and has been later released on a bond. A security guard accidentally fired a shotgun, injuring two women outside of a Houston club. Police say that the security guard then fled the property and they were searching for him. No word on why he was carrying a shotgun in the club, how it misfired, or the severity of the injury of the women. Also this past week, Beau Rivage Casino, which is in Biloxi, Mississippi, faces a lawsuit after their security personnel were involved in an altercation, and now they're being sued for unlawful use of force. A Florida resident, Brent Nettles, who was visiting the resort, also filed another federal lawsuit last year. They say that he was involved in some type of disturbance, that security detained him, but they used excessive force, causing some minor injuries to him. Right now, there's no schedule of a court date. In Alaska, a new type of law enforcement has been introduced called the new Regional Public Safety Division. The Regional Public Safety Officers have jurisdiction over the entire region rather than just a specific village. In Alaska, the VPSO, which is the Village Public Safety Officer, they patrol that one village. Now, their new classification will be Regional Public Safety Officers, which gives them a larger area to patrol and a larger area of authority. A man has been acquitted after being accused of running down a Walmart security officer. Nasim Kodar was acquitted after going to trial when he was arrested for running the security officer down. According to the police report, an altercation occurred. This was during the COVID situation. The security officer alleged that the man then got into his car and ran him down, but he's been since found innocent. When you see news happening, you can contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We'll take a quick break. When I come back, I want to talk about a topic that some folks, well, they might be a little concerned, and that is the marijuana use increase among private security and even law enforcement. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
From coast to coast, cops are cracking down on seatbelt violations. Buckle up day and night or expect a ticket. It doesn't matter who you are or where you live, they'll be on the lookout. Cops write tickets to save lives. Click it for ticket.
Every 40 seconds, someone around the world takes their own life. Every 13 minutes, someone in the U.S. commits suicide. While you were getting ready for work this morning, in the first hour of your day, as many as 5 people in the U.S. have killed themselves. By lunchtime, about 20 people in the U.S. have taken their own life. At the end of an 8-hour workday, about 40 people in the U.S. killed themselves. In a 24-hour period, as many as 111 people in the U.S. committed suicide.
Now we have reached that segment in which people are going to be upset. I'm doing this segment to inform, and I hope that everybody out there in this audience takes it for that information, education purpose. We're talking about marijuana. There are many untruths, misconceptions, and a lot of people who do use it, and I'm not going to take a stance one way or the other. I'm going to tell you the facts, because that's what the law is based on. The law is based on the law, the facts, the way that it is. So let's start with the obvious. Many security officers are young or old or somewhere in between, right? That's the obvious. Some grew up with marijuana back in the 60s and 70s, and they're security officers today and much older. And they still might use it. There are many, many, many states now who allow the use of marijuana for medical, medicinal purposes, and some states that allow it personal use. But here are 3 statements in fact. Number 1, it's not legal in any state, regardless of what the state legislators have put into action, put into law. It's still a federal crime. And under federal law, the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, could come in at any time and clamp down on the marijuana do's and don'ts. Close down all of the dispensaries. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I doubt it. I think it's going to go the opposite direction, especially if the Democrats stay in power and the current president is reelected. And again, I don't do politics on my radio show. I'm just stating a fact. There's a good chance, a good likelihood, that marijuana will become federally legalized in the next 4 years. However, until that happens, and even after it happens, there are many considerations that somebody in public safety, law enforcement, fire, EMS, or even security must consider. And as I do a lot of training, we have our own private law enforcement academy now, and I do a lot of private police trainings. A lot of officers from Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Alabama,